So I can already tell you guys this, today's episode is going to be a bit different. First and foremost, the Weir Performance Spool came in. This is going to be my first time basically setting up my own ring gear. I also got the axles done at CM Auto House a while back. What's up guys, I'm here at CM Auto House. Dropped off my axles. I'm here with Ezekiel. I don't know if you want to give them a little heads up on what your shop is and where you're located.
Oh yeah, CM Auto House in Fremont, California. We were known as the AE86 premier place in NorCal, but yeah, oddball, we have an RX-8 here today. What is this thing doing here? This customer is definitely a die-hard rotary guy. He's got at least 3 other FDs and FCs, so yeah, die-hard about this thing.
Yeah, my next move is hopefully I'm going to get my hands on a rotary engine, but man, building rotaries is just a whole different ordeal. But anyways, I'm going to drop off my axles with them. I'll be back in a little bit to pick them up. And I actually got the opportunity to meet the owner of Battle Garage, which was pretty dope. So this is the Weir Performance Spool for the 6.3 Corolla, which is crazy that I actually found something for that rear end. But basically, from what I've seen online, it looks like a lot of the dirt track and circle track guys are using the Corolla rear end. So it makes sense that there's cheap spools available online. But this one, you can tell with this one that it's a high quality piece. You can see all the CNC marks. It's got a good amount of weight to it. It's steel, not aluminum. And it even came pre-pressed with Koyo bearings, so that's pretty tight. So I'm gonna have to run to AutoZone or O'Reilly's and pick up some bearing grease so that way I can pack these and start getting ready. So for right now, I'm gonna start getting the old diff ready. I'm gonna start taking it apart, getting it cleaned up. I actually don't have a Backlash dial, so I am gonna order one of those before I finalize everything on the rear end. But for now, we're just gonna install it, get it in place, and just use marking grease just to make sure that, you know, we're all in the right spots. So without further ado, let's get this thing going. So now that I got the ring gear off, I can start installing it onto the Weir Performance Spool. So I'm gonna get the ring gear installed on the spool, and then I'm gonna take the carrier outside, clean it up, and figure out what color I wanna paint it. Gotta put you guys back in time-lapse mode so I can do my thing. So yeah, I actually realized I don't have any Loctite, and I should probably Loctite these. Yeah, so first and foremost, I'm gonna get my hands on some Loctite. So I guess I can't finish putting together the spool right now. So I never finished installing that ring gear because I didn't have any Loctite. Now I got my hands on some red Loctite. So now what we gotta do is we gotta throw the ring gear back onto the spool. We gotta put some Loctite on the bolts, throw them back in, and torque them down from around 68 to around 70 foot-pounds. Then we gotta pack the bearings, throw it back on the carrier, and get everything else prepped. So let's torque this first. Right, now that I got everything torqued, I'm gonna go ahead and run through all the studs in the same pattern one more time just to make everything's good, and we can call it a day. All right, so here we got the spool fully torqued down. I actually had to call Weir Performance to find out what the torque specs were exactly, because all I could find online was for the 6.7 and nothing for the 6.3. But for all of you guys doing your ring gear, it is 60 foot-pounds. Fun fact that I also learned, it's based on the diameter of the bolt. So yeah, 60 foot-pounds. You do not need to buy replacement clips. Thread locker is just fine. If you want to wire nut them, that's on you. Take the extra time if you want to. I'm not really looking at crazy horsepower, so I'm not gonna go too crazy on this. I need to get this dirty girl all cleaned up before we can install it back together. And I also still haven't gotten my hands on a Backlash dial. But before I get into all that, let's get this thing cleaned up. All right, so I just spent the last like hour and a half wire wheeling this thing, and my hands are still fucking vibrating. It's about as clean as I can get it for today. I got this thing all the way back down to bare metal, but there's still a little bit of gunk inside of these little corners that I couldn't get with the wire wheel. So I'm gonna get them tomorrow with the wire brush, but I am tired for the day. I also gotta figure out what kind of color I'm gonna run on this, since I am gonna paint it tomorrow. I'm either thinking of throwing some bed liner on there, or if not, I'm gonna go check to see what my local O'Reilly's has in stock. If not, I'm gonna have to hit Home Depot. We'll call it a day for now, we'll keep it going tomorrow. All right, it's a whole new day, and I got this thing slightly more prepped, cleaned it up a bit better. I mean, if you compare to how dingy this thing was, you can actually see the metal on it now. So I actually don't have any acetone or paint thinner, but I did give it a good little clean with brake parts cleaner. I'm gonna throw about 3 or 4 coats of some high gloss black and call it a day on this. Let me get a few coats of paint thrown on this, and then we'll move on to the next step. So while the diff casing is drying, I figured I'd get to work on the rear end. Here I got it mocked up, and I started messing a bit with the angle of the upper forelinks, and I gotta do something fun, which I haven't been getting to, but I need to get to, and I gotta cut my floor out. Not all this, but this has to go. This will eventually go, and I am gonna repan it, because there's just so much rust. Rust to ground. This is actually a rubber plug. There we go. Full access to fucking floor. Oh, Corona. So I gotta cut along the floor all the way to this first hole that I drilled out. This one I did on accident. Now I have access to the rail. Then I gotta follow this cut all the way straight. And right when I get to this top piece, right before the weld, I gotta start slanting upwards. And basically cut this slanted straight. I am gonna mark it. I just gotta clean it up first before I can lay some Sharpie lines on there. What's up, guys? So it's been a few days, and I was waiting on my indicator dial to get here, and also for the carrier to dry up. Also, I was trying to finish growing this mustache, because Jesus, man, it took so long. But anyways, here we got the carrier, already dried up, cured all the way, feeling real good, looking real nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and start peeling the tape on this thing and start setting it up so we can get the spool installed. So now with the tape removed, I gotta go ahead and start packing the bearings on this thing and installing it onto the carrier. So I'm gonna set you guys up on time lapse just so that way I can get this thing in here. Right, so I didn't give much explanation of what I'm doing there. So basically the carrier has these 2 little caps that are threaded, and you turn that to basically help determine where you're trying to shim your spool. So obviously if you want it more to the left, you tension one of them more, you loosen another one, vice versa. So I have it sitting almost to where I think it might be on the dot. So before I lock it all into place and everything, I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on the ring gear. I'm gonna spin the pinion just to see how it marks. And if I see it hitting right on the center of that ring gear, I'm gonna take the nuts out, give them a good clean, make sure I clean out those threads one more time, throw a little bit of red Loctite on there, torque it down, and that should be locked into place. So let me go ahead and disassemble that carrier one more time just to clean it up and make sure everything looks good, test out that ring gear, and we're gonna be ready to assemble. So when you get your dial indicator on here, try to get it on the outer edge of a tooth of the ring gear. You wanna go ahead and give it just a little bit of a turn, and if you notice, I'm getting a bit too much. I'm gonna have to align those side adjusters and get it right in the perfect center. This is telling me that it's sitting too out of the pinion right now, and I need to push it in towards the pinion. It's getting a bit too much play. So let me go ahead and adjust that, and we'll take one more measurement. So after making a few more adjustments, I finally got it to, when you turn the ring gear, 5 thousandths. You wanna keep this between 5 and 7 thousandths. You could turn your bottom pinion. So if you turn your bottom pinion, you'll realize that it's changing the adjustment on the actual dial. You wanna go ahead and try your hardest to zero that out. Then once you have it zeroed out, you can from there, check your backlash. So I'm getting between 0 and 5 thousandths. So I know this thing is good to go. So now I just gotta clean up the threads on the bolts, clean up the threads on the actual carrier, throw a little bit of Loctite and torque them into place. And we have ourselves a SR5 spooled rear end build. Let me get that finished up real quick. So off camera, I got the bearing caps torqued down. This thing is basically ready to go. I got that backlash set at exactly 5 thousandths on the ring gear. So I'm hoping I never have to take this thing apart. Even though I am gonna pull it out after like the first hour of driving, only cause I wanna double check that nothing backed itself out or loosened itself. For those of you guys that are also doing this mod, make sure you torque down the ring caps to exactly 50.6 pounds. If you don't have a digital torque wrench, I did mine to 51 foot-pounds. I don't think that's gonna make much of a difference. So now that we got this thing put together, I figured I'd show you guys a few new parts that I got. Well, why does that say Nissan on it? What the hell? What are these? Oh. Well. Looks like we got some 180SX taillights. What could those be going on? I don't know. But anyways, I got myself a brand new Toyota water pump. I also ordered an SQ Engineering rear water housing adapter, but I have no idea where I left that. So now my next priority is gonna be getting this rear end sitting exactly how it needs to. But currently what I'm planning to do, so I'm gonna try to use the car's original existing rail, basically build another piece of square tubing on top of that, so that way this could sit on there. Weld the tabs onto that rear end. I do need to cut this rear brake line though, because it is in the way. So one of the issues that I'm running into is the rails on this car aren't gonna line up with where I need the bottom links to go. So I'm basically gonna have to get some square tubing and build my own points on the chassis to where I'm gonna mount it, which is fine because it's only gonna reinforce it, but at the same time, that's a lot of math, cutting, and welding that I gotta do, which was never a part of the equation, no pun intended. So that's gonna be it for this video. Next video, we're gonna get that rear end finally sitting in there. This car is gonna roll under its own weight. But for right now, I just wanna focus on getting that rear end planted since I already have the front end done. That way I can just start focusing on working out the little kinks and getting everything else ready. Anyways, thank you guys for watching another video. This was IO Garage. Hope you guys have a good one. Late.